I want to dissect emotion for a second because I think it's one of the most potent experiences being human. So here's what emotion is. All it is consciousness that has been filtered into the human body based on an external experience. It's the way the human aspect of us navigates and understands the field of consciousness we're in. That's it, right? We have to have emotion in this third dimensional realm. It's part of being in this field of consciousness. And because it is so dense, third dimensional, and the spectrum is so long in terms of experiences that you can have, consciousnesses that you can experience, there's duality. So we're going to feel good, bad, love, hate, all those things, right? Emotions, which is just consciousness based on an external experience. So when you start to look at your emotions as pure consciousness, that's it. Yes, some feel better than others, but from a much larger perspective, it is just consciousness that has been filtered in and digested as an emotion. And if you can start to do that, you will detach from it, even though you still feel it, meaning that you are not, I am anger, I am angry. Instead of saying I am, you say I'm experiencing. I am sad. I'm experiencing sadness. When we disassociate, meaning that we step out of being the emotion, because you're not the emotion. You're not any consciousness. You're experiencing consciousness, right? You're experiencing traumas. You're experiencing love. You're experiencing whatever it is. What happens with us is that we have been programmed and we have learned, because we've been so unconscious, that we are that which we are experiencing. I am depressed, I am sad, I am angry. And then when that happens, because we label ourselves as that, we get into this hamster wheel of what's wrong with me? How did this happen? How do I get out of it? Why, right? And we create this story around it. We create a massive story, and then we play in that story. And when you do that, you allow yourself to be in the emotion of it for a long time. You obsess over it, you judge yourself, right? And it becomes overwhelming. Why am I like this? Why am I still feeling this? I don't like this. I don't want to be doing this, right? That's you, the ego, playing in it, as opposed to here comes sadness again. Here comes anger. Here comes grief. Here comes anxiety. Stepping out and falling into surrender when you are feeling emotions is a new way of experiencing emotions. The ego likes to be in control. So the ego's going to say, there's something wrong with you, you need to fix it. Choose a different emotion. Choose a different experience. Choose something differently. When you try to choose a different emotion, you are controlling the way consciousness works. We're not designed to choose a different emotion. That's control. Right? And when we can try to control emotion, you're trying to control the way the quantum field works. And that's not your role. Our role is to be in surrender, flow, and present moment. When you're in surrender, flow, and present moment, the ego is not in charge. The higher self and the aspects of you that are in the higher dimensional realms are allowing you to just feel everything you are experiencing as you flow through the now moments. So whatever comes in, you're feeling it. Period. That's it. It just is. It's just consciousness. It's just thoughts. It's just beliefs, whatever that is. Knowing that you are not those. You don't attach to them if you recognize that you aren't them. You just continue to keep flowing and moving into these higher realms, into these higher states. When we say, I've got to choose something else to feel, you are literally saying, I'm moving through the flow of this river. Sadness is coming up. And if I realize that sadness is just an emotion that's moving through me, and it's going to move out of me as long as I acknowledge it and say, hello, I'm feeling you, then I'm going to move right past sadness. And all of a sudden I might feel joy, or I might feel peace, right? I'm not the one controlling this. I'm on the river flowing. And I'm in a quantum field full of an infinite amount of experiences and an infinite amount of emotions that I may tap into when I'm in this third dimensional consciousness. What happens is when you try to shift out of or choose or be in control, you create suffering. You are struggling. When you control anything, anything that you are experiencing, you try to control it, you're going to find yourself struggling or suffering. When you let go and surrender into every now as much as you can, we have to practice this, right? But as much as you can, you will find yourself relaxing regardless of what emotion comes in. And I'm saying this and speaking this because this is what I have learned. This is what I do with any emotion that comes in throughout my day. I have no attachment to emotion. And I'm never in an emotion for a long period of time. It's impossible when you're in a present moment state in the quantum field. You don't get stuck in anything because energy doesn't stop when you're in presence. When you're in flow, you're constantly moving with everything. It's designed to move. Energy is designed to move. Consciousness is energy. Consciousness is designed to move. We get stuck when we try, as the ego aspect of us, to control it. Okay? So, can you remember this? Right? Because I got a lot of questions about, well, how come it keeps coming up? How come my emotions keep coming up? How come I'm still stuck in this? You're not. You're not. You're not stuck in anything. So we want to drop into, okay, emotion is just a consciousness. That's it. And emotion flows through. It's a consciousness and an energy that flows. And as you start to get used to doing this, which means, okay, I'm just going to feel it. What happens is that when you start feeling something you don't like, you don't know how long it's going to last. And so you try to control the length of time that you're going to be feeling it, right? But when you drop into surrender in every now as much as you can, you're not in control of how long that emotion is going to be felt. And you've got to be okay with that. Remember, no judgment. Emotion is just consciousness that has been filtered into your physical form through the channel based on an external experience. That's it. Who are we to judge any of that? It's not our fault. We are in a third dimensional realm that is so dense that it's allowing us an opportunity to experience an array of experiences and thus emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and paradigms, right? So many. And when we start to step out of the lens of judgment and see it just as, holy shit, this is just consciousness I'm experiencing. Look at all the different types of consciousnesses I can experience in every day and every now. It shifts everything. You're not attached. You're not connected to it like I am this. I am fear. I am feeling angry. I am feeling sadness. No, I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing this. I'm experiencing that. I'm experiencing a breakup. I'm experiencing trauma. I'm experiencing. I am not it. You'll see it completely differently. You'll see it completely differently. And I'm going to tell you based on my own experience and how energy and consciousness works. Let's just say that you're going through a breakup or some other external challenge, right? You're going to feel the experience of that challenge emotionally. So you're going to be overwhelmed perhaps by a lot of different emotions moving through you based on that experience. Let it go, just let it move. Imagine it's a faucet pouring, right? And here comes the emotions. Just let it come. We've never been taught this. We've been taught the opposite. Keep it together. Hold yourself together. Don't cry, right? Don't get sad. Don't get angry. Polite people don't do that, Nice people don't do that. Whatever it is that these paradigms are that we've lived in for so long, not our fault, just paradigms and belief systems, right? Ways of being as a human. Now we're shifting that. Now we're stepping out of that. Now we're being differently, which is I feel everything in every now, whatever it is, and I don't try to choose something different. If I'm having an experience externally and it's creating a consciousness that comes into my body, I'm not in charge of that consciousness. That's the quantum field. Here it comes, and it literally gets filtered through my body, through the emotional body and the mental body, which gives me emotions and thoughts and beliefs that tell me what this experience was about. And then I feel it. I don't attach to it. Oh, look, boom, 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 here it comes, ba, 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 whatever, right? And as we shift into these higher states of consciousness, there will come a time where experiences that used to make us feel certain ways based on that consciousness, it will almost be like we're in such a high state that it just moves through and we aren't even kind of experiencing anymore. It's almost like you're vibrating. Like imagine that you're just this white light almost, right? You're just vibrating so high that when these denser consciousnesses from the third dimensional realm come in, it doesn't even impact you anymore, right? Now, this is not something that happens right away, but there eventually comes a time where the external experiences from the third dimensional realm really don't impact you in the same way because you're vibrating at a much higher rate. And so the consciousness just sort of comes in and moves through, and it's like it doesn't even touch you, because your light is so much brighter than that third dimensional consciousness. So it's almost just like it flushes right through, and you don't even play in it or experience it really, right? You don't feel it. It's too dense. It just moves out of you. It's still filtered because if you have the experience comes in and gets filtered through the body. But you're vibrated at such a high rate that it's like almost like nothing even happens, right? There's experiences in your life where like, wow, I didn't even feel any of that. And then somebody else that's in a lower frequency was like, oh my God, I felt sadness and this and that, right? There's all these different experiences. I don't want to get too into like the complexity of like different frequencies and stuff in the human form, but based on how high your body is vibrating, it will provide the type of way that your body will be filtering that consciousness. Okay. But many of us are not there yet, and we can't force ourselves there. So in this now moment, as we are all courageously navigating our emotions, let's remember that it's consciousness. It's the way the body filters that consciousness, and it's how we as third dimensional humans navigate our external reality. And there's nothing wrong with whatever comes in. We're out of control. Let ourselves be out of control. Surrender. Let go of trying to control any of it. And just feel it as consciousness, period, without a judgment and without wondering how, why, when, blah, 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 all the other things that we do. That creates suffering. That creates struggle. Okay. That is my 13-minute short video on emotion. And what a gift emotion is for us. It's a beautiful thing. It allows us to experience this reality. We don't want to fix it. We're not in fix mode. Fixing it and fix mode is ego. When we try to fix things, we're in ego. When you're in present moment, from a much higher perspective, right? When you're in a higher dimensional state, even the higher self doesn't fix anything. I've got to fix something. No, the higher self is always consciously and courageously moving forward into the higher realms. The higher self knows who it is and that it doesn't need to fix anything, right? The higher self is in present moment state, just moving through whatever comes into its realm. Oh, thank you. I'm going to keep going. Oh, thank you. I'm going to keep going. Knowing that it is love, that it is light, that it is all that ever is, was, and will be. Higher self knows that. And the higher self also knows that the physical form is in a third dimensional consciousness that is doing its best to navigate that with no judgment. That's higher self. Ego says, I've got to fix this. I've got to change this. I've got to make this better. I've got to get out of this. The secret and the key to all of this is to stay present and to feel and experience everything, knowing that it always is moving out. Nothing sticks. Nothing stays. Nothing is permanent. I love you all so much. Give yourself a big hug for being human. Give yourself a big hug for being conscious and aware. Give yourself a big hug for navigating all of this. This is not for the faint of heart, and you are courageous beings of light.